I'm going to continue with the introduction, which is a section for Baby Knows Best, about Magda Gerber. Magda Gerber was born in Budapest, Hungary. She married at 18 and shortly thereafter became a mother. She remarked that although she was well educated, nothing in her studies had prepared her for being a parent. One day, one of Magda's daughters, who was then 4 years old, was sick and needed medical attention. The family pediatrician was unavailable, so Magda's daughter suggested they call the mother of one of her friends, who was a pediatrician. Dr. Emmy Pickler came to see Magda's daughter at their home and inquired about her sore throat. When Magda began to speak on her daughter's behalf, Dr. Pickler gestured for Magda to be quiet so that the child could respond. Magda was astonished by her daughter's ability to clearly articulate how she was feeling. Dr. Pickler asked permission of Magda's daughter before looking at her throat, and Magda was stunned by the cooperative exchange between them. The interaction not only revealed to Magda her daughter's competence, but astounded her with its respectful give and take. From then on, Dr. Pickler was the pediatrician to Magda's children, and thus began a long collaboration and friendship that continued until Emmy Pickler's death in 1984. When World War II ended, the Hungarian government commissioned Dr. Pickler to establish a residential facility to care for children from birth to 3 years of age who had been orphaned during the war or whose parents were unable to care for them. 6 months after she received the commission, the National Methodological Institute for Infant Care and Education was opened. Here, all those who cared for the children followed Dr. Pickler's very specific pedagogy. It was vastly different place from other residential facilities where babies at best had their basic needs attended to or at worst were victims of indifferent treatment and warehousing. The orphanage was commonly referred to as Losy for the street on which it was located, and upon Dr. Pickler's death, it was renamed the Pickler Institute in her honor. The Institute cared for children for over 60 years, and though it is no longer a residential facility, it continues to be an international beacon of quality infant care and education. Among other things, Dr. Pickler is well known for her research and approach to natural gross motor development, which was quite controversial at the time, when many in the medical community were espousing the benefits of stimulation to teach babies how to move. Magda studied with Dr. Pickler at Lóczy and went on to earn her master's degree in early childhood education in Budapest. She and her family left Hungary in 1956 after the revolution and immigrated to the United States the following year. They first settled in Boston, where Magda worked as an interpreter at Harvard University. A year later, the family made its way to Los Angeles, where Magda worked with children with cerebral palsy at Children's Hospital and then with children with autism spectrum disorders at the Dubnoff School. She applied the principles she learned at Lóczy and added her own insights gathered through her unique educational and professional experiences. She had the ability to see the universality in all of us and applied the same principles with all children, including those with special needs. As Magda said, my magic was simply observing closely and expecting of the children only what they could do. When a child is expected to do something he cannot, he is set up for failure. Those who knew Magda describe her extraordinary empathy and instinctive ability to relate to people. Magda had such compassion for the tender and vulnerable new parents who found their way to her classes, and she was able to gently guide them without underestimating or undermining their confidence. In 1972, Stanford pediatric neurologist Tom Forrest invited Magda to join him as founding co-director of the Demonstration Infant Program, DIP, a preventative mental health project commissioned by the Children's Health Council of Palo Alto, California. The following year, Magda began teaching parent-infant guidance classes in Los Angeles, and in 1978, with Dr. Forrest, founded Resources for Infant Carers, RIE, based in Los Angeles. At RIE, Magda taught an innovative kind of parent-infant class, where parents were encouraged to observe their babies as they played freely. As an RIE facilitator modeled when and how to intervene with the babies. Since those early days, thousands of parents and caregivers have studied at RIE, and tens and thousands of babies have been cared for by adults who practice the educaring approach. Magda died in 2007, but her important work continues around the world through the dedicated RIE associates who conduct classes for parents and professionals, as well as those who work directly with babies and toddlers. Magda said she felt so fortunate to receive some valuable guidance from Dr. Pickler that she was compelled to share it with others. Her passion and life's work were helping parents and caregivers to understand babies and to learn what it means to interact with them respectfully. She taught that babies come into the world as complete human beings with their own distinct points of view. She helped us to see that by slowing down, observing, and taking the time to wait, we could understand our babies better and respond to their needs more accurately. She showed us what it means to respect a baby while also respecting ourselves. Magda came from a European perspective, and this is reflected in her educaring approach. Even if you come from a similar cultural background, you may find that some of what you read here may differ from your cultural or family practices. Although habits and customs may vary from culture to culture, and different families certainly have their own unique ways of doing things, I believe that the educaring approach can help any parent to better understand his or her baby and make the role of parent easier and more enjoyable. The essential truths of the educaring approach can be beneficial and relevant to all kinds of babies, whether they consist of a single parent, a mother and father, two moms, two dads, or extended families with grandparents who take an active role in caring for the baby. I hope you will use Baby Knows Best as a guidebook. Each chapter begins with a relevant quote from Magda. In the next chapter, you will be introduced to basic RIE principles and concepts that form the foundation of the approach. Later chapters address specific topics and issues that are part of everyday life with the baby or toddler and suggest ways of handling them. Throughout the book, parents as well as RIE educators offer their thoughts and insights on the educaring approach. Gender is referred to as she, her, and he, his in alternate chapters. You will note that specific ages are not implied for major milestones such as rolling over, sitting up, crawling, and walking. Magda did not like to attach ages to these events because she wanted to encourage parents to appreciate what the baby was doing rather than measuring and comparing him to the supposed norms. If you read this book and decide that you would like to make some changes in the way you care for your baby, I suggest that you start with just one or two RIE principles or ideas and practice them for a while until you and your baby become comfortable with them. Doing a lot of things differently all at once may be overwhelming for you and confusing for your baby, so take your time. There's no hurry. After all, this is the beginning of a lifelong relationship. I hope you will discover, as I did, how the educaring approach can help you get to know your baby better, become a more confident parent, and find more joy in parenting. It can be a parent's greatest pleasure to witness a baby's growing competence, self-reliance, and resourcefulness. It is an extraordinary gift to have a respectful, cooperative, intimate, and loving relationship with your child.